Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
All right, good, good. Sorry about that, bro. A little technical difficulties, but again, thank you for coming on, bro. Thank you for taking your weekend and Easter break time to come on and spread a little inspiration and information and stuff. So, I want to introduce,
No problem at
Jose.
all.
I know him for almost all our lives. We grew up on the same neighborhood, but I want to give you a little bit of time to introduce yourself and explain to the people how your life path took you to becoming an entrepreneur and local business owner.
Well, my name is Jose Calderon. Like Lee said, I was raised in the same neighborhood as he was. Life took me through different stages. Like from New York, I went to Puerto Rico. Lived in Puerto Rico for about like 7 years. The age of 22, I decided to come back to the States, but instead of going back to New York, I came to Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
And eventually, I started a family out here. And just little by little, I worked toward my goals. I decided at a late age too. I think I was 32 when I decided I wanted to become a barber. And at the age of 32, I started cutting hair. I'm 39 now, and now I'm a business owner.
That's beautiful, bro. That's
So
beautiful, and that's why I
it's
wanted you to come on because I think that a lot of local business owners in my district, in my area, kind of probably have gone the same path that you've gone, where they may have probably not thought about being a business owner or an entrepreneur early on in their life, but it's just kind of where their life's path took them, right? And so, but
yeah,
but now but now you're in a current situation that all probably local business owners are in, of course, with this epidemic and this pandemic that we're all facing right now and stuff, right? um
that's a fact.
so you know let's go back because I want people to be as relatable to you as what you are, right? So we grew up in the same neighborhood. We grew up in Harlem, before it was gentrified. Um,
Facts.
tell tell folks what was it like growing up in Harlem during that time, or in the city at that time. Tell them what it was like for us.
It was rough. It was rough. I remember, honestly speaking, let me tell you a little story. Listen, you know how Harlem people we consider to be the flyest guys in the world, whatever, whatever, right?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt,
Right or wrong?
no
Right,
doubt.
right. So, my grandfather, and I thought he was doing it to be cheap, but I realized when I got older, my grandfather never bought me name brand stuff
Hmm.
for the simple fact he didn't want me or my brother to get robbed
Hmm.
or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because the way it was back then, if you had a fly jacket, fly sneakers, whatever it was a possibility you was getting robbed and you was in the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah,
So when I was young, I was like, damn, why grandpa being like this? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not wearing no name brand stuff, no nothing. Well, as I got older and understood what was going on, he basically did me a favor.
yeah.
So the neighborhood back in the day was kind of rough, definitely rough. It ain't what it is today. I'll tell you that much.
Nah, man. So growing up, I tell people all the time, we saw an era of like, cocaine, drugs, through the
Facts,
crack,
facts,
we
facts.
saw the crack epidemic. We saw when social services programs were pulled away. So we never really heard about after school programs and other things like that really going on. We saw, police officers that were stop and frisk. That was the era of the stop and frisk, where us
Yeah,
as young boys, at any time walking in the street, we would get just stopped and frisked, and cops would go in our pockets, and our rights would be violated. And so,
that's a fact.
we've seen a lot through those times, and to be honest with you, Jose, my community here in the South Bronx, I tell people all the time, it's really still in that era right now. Like people think that just because New York, we're in 2020, has progressed a lot. This particular area right here, so I tell people all the time, we're probably like still like 2 decades behind. Like there's still that type of atmosphere. There's still that type of crime. There's still that type of um, you know drugs and all these other things kind of happening. So I wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
we talked about that, so the people here in my community know that you're speaking from firsthand accounts as well too of what they're going through right now.
that's a fact. That's a fact. Yes.
So you talked about a little bit how you came into, you know, doing your own business? Like, what was that like? Like, did you have to go look for a location? How did you get like your capital to be able to get equipment, to hiring people? Like, was that stressful? Was that something that came natural to you? Like, what was that like?
So basically, when I first started cutting hair, I worked in several shops in the area, and I always took notes how the barbershop was ran and how the owners ran the shop and stuff like that. So back in 2017, I can't. I was actually walking to work. Believe it or not, I ain't have a car for the simple fact I ain't have my license. My license was suspended, so I was walking to work. I was walking to work, and I passed this location that said for rent. So I was like, let me take down a number, give it a call. I gave it a call. The rent was tremendously cheap, something I knew I could afford by myself with no help, but no other barbers, no nothing.
Mm,
So uh, I eventually ended up getting the location, paying on the location while I was still working in another shop.
mm-hmm.
So one thing led to another at the shop that I was working at. End up leaving that shop, going to another shop, and I just continue to basically make my money and just build the shop up little by little. So I wasn't in a rush to have this big shop up and running right away. I literally took my time. I bought one chair at a time. I
Mm-hmm.
bought one mirror at a time. Like little things that, and I did a lot of the work myself. Like I ain't contract out the work because honestly speaking, I couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was trying to maintain my family, still pay bills at the house, try
Mm-hmm.
to pay the rent for the new shop. So I just did everything little by little. It took me about like a year some change to finally get it up and running. But once I got it up and running, it just went from there.
Yeah, man. And hearing that be like, that's the true American dream right there, bro. Like,
That's a
we,
fact.
we hear these stories about, the self-made millionaires and all that, but to tell you the truth, this is the American dream right here. This is where the
Yes,
majority of our country, this is where it got started, right? Somebody just taking a chance, taking a risk, and it doesn't just impact you. Like you have a family,
that's
you
a
know,
fact.
and so when you make those decisions, you gotta consider like how is this going to impact all the people that I'm responsible for?
That's a
Was that something
fact.
that was on your mind? Did that worry you?
I mean, it was always on my mind, but at the time, I was still with my fiance, and believe it or not, she helped me out a lot. Like I ain't do it by myself. Like she was there for me. You know what I'm saying? We helped each other out. She made it easier for me. Let's put it like that. I wasn't in it by myself, so just having her help and stuff like that help us move forward and help me open up shop sooner than later.
That's great, man. And shout out to, fiance, wifey. I always tell guys all the time, like, a man could achieve anything in this world, but if he finds the right woman that to support him, he can go even further. So thanks for being an
That's a
example of
fact.
that as well, too, brother.
That's yeah. I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
So you got your business going, is up and running, is doing well. Are you even thinking about maybe expanding? Are you doing like is it going in a way where you're like, yeah, I'm feeling real good about my move right now?
Well, honestly speaking, before this pandemic hit, I was in the process of opening in a second location here in
Mm,
town. So that's put to a halt right now because of what's going on. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to expand. My goal is to franchise my shop and be nationwide eventually.
hmm
So we'll see what happens. You know,
So you start. So
but
let's.
there
So
definitely
let's.
definitely always room for expansion.
Of course, of course, of course. So we fast forward a little bit. You start hearing about this pandemic, right? You start hearing about things in the news. You're starting to see the reports. Are you getting a little nervous, or you just kind of like, this is not really going to impact me so much. People still gonna need haircuts, so it's not gonna really impact me that much.
Honestly speaking, man. Honestly speaking, I was never. I took it lightly. I'm not gonna lie. I took it lightly. I would never expected to be out of work. I never expected to not be cutting hair. Well, I'm still cutting hair, but not to be in the shop cutting hair. You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
I took it lightly. I'm not gonna lie. I was
hmm
surprised when the governor issued the quarantine
Mm.
for well, it started off at 2 weeks. He issued for 2 weeks. I was like, well, cool. 2 weeks ain't nothing. That's a little vacation. I could deal with that. It is
Okay.
what it is. Then from 2 weeks, it went to the end of April. So right now, that's what I'm sitting on. I'm hoping and praying that beginning of May, I can get back to work. So we'll see what happens.
And what were those like tough conversations like, Jose? Like you got employees, they got families, they're responsible for. You got to tell your family that we're shutting down for a while. That's going to change our lives a little bit. Like, what were those conversations like, man? As an entrepreneur, as a boss, as people that you're responsible for.
Well, with my employees, they basically independent. They had the choice to continue to cut hair out their house or make house calls. The same thing I've been doing. I've been cutting hair out my house and making house calls. So,
Hmm.
but a lot of them chose to just stay quarantined and stay safe. And I understand why they did it because they got older people living in their house. They got younger children living with them. So that's
Hmm.
the path they chose. I'm cool with it. Me personally, I decided to continue to cut hair, so I make house calls and I have people come over and get cuts and stuff like that. Cause at the end of the day, bills don't stop,
Yeah.
child support don't stop, everything still got to get paid. So,
Yeah, man. I,
but
I I I totally get it, man. Does are you cutting hair worried, nervous, like, damn, am I gonna get sick? Am I gonna get my family sick? Anything
honestly
like that?
speaking, I'm honestly no. For the simple fact, I look at the essential workers and I put in a quotation mark, not disrespecting the people that are out there risking their lives going to work and nothing like that, but the essential workers and saying Walmart is still open over here. People are constantly in Walmart. I constantly go to Walmart because I constantly got to get food for the family and stuff like that. So I'm putting myself at risk anyway just by going to Walmart. So if
Yeah.
I'm putting myself at risk going to Walmart, I might as well put myself at risk and make some money and make sure my bills are paid.
Hmm. Was everybody at home
So
like in accordance, like making that decision, like, yo, I'm going out there to do this, to do that? Was your other half was like, yo, you got to, we understand, or was the family was like, yo, we not sure, like, are you sure, like, what was the
nah,
response
they
you
they
got?
understand they understood where I was coming from. They understood where I was coming from. Like I spoke to my other half, and we came to terms that she basically agreed with me. If I could go to Walmart and do grocery shopping, I could cut somebody's hair. So as
Hmm.
long as I, you know, do what I have to do, at the end of the day, what people fail to realize, us as barbers and cosmetologists, we have a high standard of cleanliness. So
Right, right.
I'm always constantly washing my hands. I wear gloves when I cut hair. I never wore a mask before, but that was something different, but something I chose to do just to stay a little bit safer than usual.
Makes sense. Now, have you looked into like the programs, the entrepreneur small business loans and grants for people that are their businesses are being impacted? Have you looked into any of those things?
I definitely did, and I filed a few, and I'm just waiting for response. I haven't received any emails saying that I got approved for anything, or any email saying that my application went through or anything like that. So I'm basically just waiting on a response, waiting on the government to respond.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
also filed for unemployment for these waiting on that to see what happens with that. So
Mm-hmm.
anything helps. Anything helps.
Say one of the things that's important to me are our community leaders and our elected officials. How do you feel like your elected officials and your community leaders have you gotten information from them? Do you feel that they've been responsive to their local businesses? Do you feel like you're hearing from them? Like, what's your response to them?
My local community leaders. That's a good question. Honestly speaking, I really haven't heard anything from the mayor. The governor, like I said, put the ban until April 30th. Haven't heard nothing since then. And the only person, he was a councilman. His name is Cornell Wilson. He's constantly updating the community through Facebook and stuff like that. I definitely respect what he does for our community. Like,
Hmm.
if I had to shout somebody, I would definitely be Cornell Wilson.
Hmm.
Everybody else besides that, don't know nothing about.
Yeah, that that
So out of
that's
every,
that's
I
sad
don't know.
to
I
hear.
don't.
That's sad to
Yeah, it
hear, bro.
is.
That's
It
sad to hear
is. It
because
is.
in these moments like this is where leadership is needed the most, right? And moments like this
Mm-hmm.
is when the true people like get revealed. Are those folks really going to step up and be leaders, or are they going to quiver and hide because they worried about themselves or they worried about not doing the right thing? And so I would say for you and all your local business owners around you and all your residents and all that, take note of this time, bro. Like, take note. because
That's a fact.
you guys hold a lot of power. Your local business, you're the heart and soul of of the economics of your community. And so remember this time. Remember those people that you didn't hear from. You remember those people that wasn't knocking on your door saying, "Hey, I know you own this property right here," or "I know you're leasing this property right here. Here's how we can help. Here's some information. Here's this. Here's that." And when we get out of this, like, we need to hold all those people accountable, man, and make sure that everybody in
I
your area
agree.
do that, man. Yeah, man. So how do you come back from this, bro? Like, I know there's gonna be, bills are getting a little, um, probably backed up a little bit, and maybe not too crazy because, I'm sure you're somebody that manage your money well and will kind of prepare for
Hmm.
storms like this. But it's eating into everything, right? It changes the course of
That's a
things.
fact. That's a fact. Yeah.
So what adjustments have you made, or said, to be able to kind of get back on track when this is over?
Well, believe it or not, I'm just gonna continue to work and just build my clientele and just do what I do, just cut hair. Because even with this quarantine going on, people are still requesting haircuts from me. People I don't know are requesting haircuts from me. But simple fact, if I don't know you, I'm not allowing you in my house. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So it's just that's just the way it is. But so I'm just gonna basically just once they give me the green light to open shop, go
Mhm.
back to work and just put in all the hours I can, make as much money as I can, put money away like I was doing, and just get caught up with my bills and stuff like that. That's all I could really do.
Mm, mm.
Focus on opening the second shop. I already have a few barbers of mine I'm gonna reach out to when I open up and just see how it goes from there.
Good, 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 good.
Then eventually, honestly speaking, if God allows me to find some type of residual income, buy a building or something, because I don't like paying rent. I'd rather pay a mortgage.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time that you got to try to start some investments, some things that that
Hmm.
could kind of turn into a little bit of more wealth than anything. And so
That's a fact.
I'm glad that you're hearing that you're going into the direction of possibly looking to buy some property. I always recommend people to, if it's possible, to look for those type of mixed properties where maybe one level is retail, the other level is you can
Hmm.
rent out a residence, because it's a dual mix thing,
That's a fact.
and one will always give you the rent, and then the businesses could kind of cycle out if they need to. But I'm sure you know what you're doing. You're a
Hmm.
smart guy. You could do great research. But I'm glad to hear that, brother, because we need to own
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
make sure that we're
We
leaving
have
something
to.
for
It's
our
the only
kids.
way.
Absolutely, absolutely, man.
That's a fact. Always.
Um, so I got a lot of young people in my community. A lot of them, they're interested in being their own bosses. Like, this new generation, a lot of them are trying to go into business for themselves. And I've heard a lot of them say, "I want to own, barbershops. I want to own a chain of things." What kind of inspiration or advice would you give to some of my young folks in my community that are thinking about going down the same road as you?
Advice. Just if you do decide to go down like owning a barbershop, you gotta be committed and consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta put in the hours yourself. You can't depend on nobody but yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I first opened up my shop, I was there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. all
Mm,
day, every day, never fail. Like, people like, yo, why you open up so early? Get them people that's going to school, going to work at a certain time. I'm trying to get everybody.
right.
Once I started hiring barbers, I kind of switched my hours a little bit, but I still consistent. Like if I say I'm gonna be there from 10 to 6, I'm there from 10 to 6. If I'm gonna be there from 11 to 7, I'm there from 11 to 7. Like, it's not. I come in at 11, leave at 12, then come back at 3. No, that's not how I did it. That's not how I did things. I built my clientele and built my shop by consistently being there and working and just being the head of the shop. But the face, basically being the face of the shop.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So
basically, I
so
would
it
just
sounds
say
like
just
work
be
ethic.
consistent.
Work ethic, right? It
Oh,
just
there you
sounds.
have it. You need this, but that's in everything you do. You need work ethic in order to progress and succeed. Like, that's the only way you're gonna
Hmm.
be better. You got to put in the work, plain and simple.
Nah, nah, that's facts. That's facts. And I'm glad that you're bringing that up. You mentioned a while back, your brother. I want to take a moment to say, rest in peace to your brother, Pretty Lou. He was also like a little brother to me, man, and especially
Always, always, man.
during this holiday time, he was inspiration, I'm sure, to you, and what was a great little brother to me, and so I wanted to make sure that we make sure we shouted him out before any of this,
Always, I
man.
appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Well, honestly speaking, the shop is named after him. It's called Hollywood Lose. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay,
So
okay,
yeah, 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 yeah. My shop is called Hollywood Lose, man. So
that's dope.
he's always in my heart. He's always gonna be in my mind, and I always try to keep his legacy going, regardless of where I'm at or who I'm with and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like people's always go, even if you ain't know my brother, you're gonna know because of what I'm doing. You know,
Mhm.
like it's what I do, man.
And that's great to hear that he's still inspiring you and pushing you and stuff. So
Always, always,
that's beautiful.
always, man.
That's beautiful, man. That's really dope. Um, so, bro, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's Sunday. I want you to spend some time with your family. I really appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you as well, man.
We'll do this. We'll do this again to make sure that people know, where you're at with things, how you've, changed courses, how you're progressing, and just to continue to give advice to some of my community and folks that are going to be hurting. I know when I go out these doors soon, I will see a lot of closed shops, and so I want to be able to reach out to you and be able to get some advice for you on how I can help them. So I appreciate your support as
Okay.
well too, bro. All right.
Likewise, likewise, bro. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you, man. So say hello to the family and everybody and be safe, man.